Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video we're doing something a little different. I've never done one of these before. Do I think I'm going to be successful? No, but I think it will be interesting. We're trying to fix this battery. Now, if you were like me, until I gained this little bit of knowledge, I'd be like, alright, yeah, battery, what, £30, maybe £40? Guess how much this battery costs? I was shocked. 260. I was going to say 230. 260 UK pounds. That is ridiculous. I can't believe they cost that much. But that's what they are. So I'm expecting something pretty special on the inside here. That is a serious amount of money for a battery. Now, this was sent all the way from Australia by Robert from a company called Timsey's Auto Air. And Air is a place, and this auto shop here is a place in Queensland in Australia. I've been to Queensland once in my life when I did my little tour of Australia just after university. Had a great time, 2 months. Absolutely loved it, but only made it to the very bottom of Queensland. Went to Brisbane for, I can't remember, about a week or so. Had a great time. But it says here, he said that he had a battery for me, and it says yes, it's faulty. I wanted to make sure it was faulty. Warranty got a knockback. They suggested a bug attack. Interesting. So obviously with a piece of equipment this expensive, I don't know how long they're warranted for, but let's just say if it's like 2 years or 3 years or something, then obviously you are going to send it back because they're so pricey. But it was knocked back, suggesting a bug attack. So that's interesting. And it said, I've looked back in your videos, could not see a battery repair. Wishing you well, Robert Timms. So thank you very much for Robert. That came all the way from Australia, so I know the postage on that wouldn't have been cheap. I'm actually surprised that it was allowed to be sent. I thought they had issues with sending, lithium packs and stuff, but it managed to make it here anyway. Right, so I had to, for the purpose of the video, I haven't got any Milwaukee stuff. This is good quality stuff, so I had to buy some for the purpose of the video. So I've got a charger here, and I didn't want to go and buy a drill because this is quality equipment. It's going to cost a lot. So what I bought is, I bought this here, a little work light. If I can get it working, then this would come in handy for me anyway, even if I was just to use it as a torch, a flashlight. But look, when I plug this in here, this has already been taken apart. It came with a little bag of screws, but when I plug it in here, it flashes red and green, and that indicates a broken battery. There you go. And if I zoom in here, you can see the little symbol. Can you see there? Broken battery. So let's take it apart. Let's see this damage. Robert did send me pictures, and it's certainly damaged. Let's see if it can be repaired. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of it. If I can't fix it in this video, maybe with the help of the viewers, I might be able to fix it in a revisit video. When I press this button here, it should light up with how much charge is left in the battery, and there's nothing happening there whatsoever. So let's get our multimeter. I can see here it says positive and negative. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pins, but positives this side and negatives this side. Okay, that's not good. So at this moment in time, it looks like it's completely discharged. 0.6 volts, and this should be 18, is it? It's an M18, but what volts is it? Yeah, look, 18 volts. 216 watt hours, that's massive. Right, let's take it apart and see what's happening. Ooh. So here we have all the cells. I can see an MSUN, so I presume they're going to be Samsung. It's strange how they're all completely dead. You think they would have a bit of power left in them. You know, if the board had failed, unless there's a short, why have the, oh, there you go, 0.6 volts. So we've got the voltage on that one battery there. Oh, and that one. But these are all, oh yeah, these are all in contact with each other here. Yeah, okay. I wonder, is there a short on the board that's drained the batteries? Now, the thing with these batteries is once they fall below a certain level, they're not supposed to be, that's like the safe level, and they're not supposed to be charged again because they're going to be dangerous. So, yeah, I actually think that this is unfixable. But still, let's see if we can find out what's going on, because I remember from the pictures that there's bad burning up here. And they reckon bug damage, but obviously you see it's already been taken apart, so if there was something in here, it's going to have been cleaned away now. But yeah, check out the burn in here, it's very bad. Up here. So, should we get some IPA, give it a good clean there, and see what's going on? Is the corner of that chip faulty? No, maybe not. Unfortunately, I haven't got another one to do any testing with. And also, I've got to be very careful using any sort of heat around here because we have a load of cells underneath it. Saying that, they are discharged, I think, because there's no voltage there unless there's something that's, draining it down, but yet there is still charge in there. I'm not too sure. But I suppose it's safer to work on when it's been discharged, but it's still going to be dangerous, isn't it? Look at that capacitor. Has the capacitor just given up the ghost? Let's see if we can get a continuity test across it. So now, no, it's not shorted. Wow, that's not shorted. What's caused this massive burn in here? Unless it's coming from underneath and gone right the way up. It's going to be hard to work on because everything's like spot welded. You see all here? It's all spot welded rather than soldered on. Here's a fuse. Let's check the fuse. Maybe the fuse has just blown. No, I presume that's the fuse. It says there F, doesn't it? I think we need to... It's a hard board to see again, where the traces are. I think we need to clean up here to see what's going on deep down here. Yeah, before I do any scraping, I'm going to get the IPA and clean that. So I'm just cleaning with some isopropyl alcohol, 99.9%. Right, okay, now, to me, I thought there was going to be more components underneath the black, but there's not. That just looks like that C12 capacitor has completely blown. Why is it not shorting? Because if it had blown like open, then it wouldn't cause a problem, would it? In fact, what's that? Is that a component there? There's a component there as well. So it's definitely got a protective coating all over it. So that's a resistor, resistor. That must be them two, is it? Oh yeah, an R19 is that resistor there. To me, it looks like, and this has come from here, the burn-in was all here, wasn't it? Which is this side of that capacitor. Should we try to take the capacitor off? But when I go here now, you think you'd... Yes, it is shorting, look. It's a shorted capacitor. Oh, wow. Well, annoyingly, the cells have gone completely discharged. I wonder, could we get a charge back into them? It's a shorted capacitor. Is that bug damage, or has the capacitor just failed? I would say the capacitor's just failed, but then again, I'm not an expert at all. You can put it down in the comments what you think. Right, what I'm going to do is, what am I going to do here now? I've got to be careful of using hot air, but saying that, I am a long way away from the battery cells, and I've got this massive heatsink thing here to drain away all the heat from the board here. So I don't think much heat's going to get to it. But if I heat up here, this black plastic is probably going to melt. I wonder if I was just to... Do you know what I'm going to do here now? I know it would be much quicker just to use hot air. I think because I'm dealing with lithium cells, and a lot of them, and very, very powerful ones, I think I'm going to use some low melt solder. And I think I'm going to see if I can take that capacitor off using low melt solder. The problem I've got is I don't know what to replace it with, because I'm not going to know the value. I wonder, would it just work without it? Possibly. So this is what I'm going to use here, Chipquick SMD8. So it's an alloy that reduces the temperature right down. So let's say if it normally melts at, I don't know, if I had to have my iron at 350, then I might only have to have my iron at, for example, 200 once this is mixed in here to lower the melting temperature off the existing solder on the board. I rarely use it. Now, I haven't said it in this video, please don't copy what you see in these videos. I'm not an expert whatsoever, and I might well do things that are dangerous. So just purely for, watch it just purely for entertainment. See if I can get that to melt in with that. I'm going to be struggling here because it's all going to be going to ground, isn't it? Yes, it's coming. It's coming. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. There we go. So you see, even now it's still liquid. Look. Isn't it amazing? Still liquid. Still liquid. Still liquid. Still liquid. Now gone hard. Right, brilliant. I'm going to use some solder wick, and that hardly took anything. I know it looks a lot because I'm zoomed in, but although it's expensive, it was still probably only a few pennies worth. You see, I've still got all that. Right, let's clean it up. And I've got some solder wick here to wick up the low melt solder. There we go. Right, let's see which one of those pads is the ground. It just looks messy because of all this coating that's put everywhere. I can't see any other damage apart from that capacitor. Yeah, that burning now is just left on that little kind of conformal coating stuff that's on here. It actually looks perfect. There's no, that board hasn't been burnt through whatsoever. So we're going to go to continuity. And let's go to the negative of the battery, which is negative of the battery is this one here. So let's see which one is the ground. Okay, well it is 90 ohms to ground there and nothing there. So beforehand the 90 ohms would have been coming up onto here. Well, now you're only getting it on that one there. So what I'm going to do is let's plug it back in. Let's see if it does the same thing now or something different. Oh, actually, let me see what voltage we have now that the short's removed. I wonder whether they've upped themselves a little bit. No, they haven't. No, okay. So it's still completely discharged. Here goes. Right, let's see if it's still going to be flashing. Ah, still flashing. Oh, I was hoping it would do nothing, as if it's not detecting the battery whatsoever. That's a shame. I wonder, would I have to have a capacitor in that place there? I wonder what would be a sensible one to put in. 100 nanofarad? Let's see what I've got. Okay, so I've got my little ruler here, and I can see it's a 1206. So let me just zoom in. So if we have a look here, you can see out of all of them, that is too big for that one, too small for that one, and that one looks just right, as if you were going to solder it on there. So it's a 1206, and I do have some nice little Chinese kit of 1206 capacitors. So now I just need to decide what I'm going to put in. I found the 100 nanofarads, so if you look here now, I've got my meter set to capacitance, and if I go between here and here, you can see there 100 NF. There you go. Now, why am I using this one? I haven't got a clue. It's just a round number. This is where a revisit video would come in useful, because I really would not know. I mean, obviously, if there were schematics, you could just look at the schematics, but there's not going to be schematics for something like this. I haven't got another one to measure. I would have thought it would have done something without even having the capacitor on board, but maybe, I don't know. Let's put it in and see what happens. If I can always do a revisit video, and then if everybody recommends that I put something else in there, then I know it's just going to be a guess, but it's going to be an educated guess, while with me it is just a guess. Let's solder that in, and also watch this. So now you see, if I go to continuity on the new one, there is no continuity. Look at the old one, completely shorted. Yep. And let's get an ohm reading on that. So ohm reading on the new one, completely open. The old one, .3 of an ohm. So yeah, 100% that's a complete short. But let's solder it back in. I'm quite confident about doing this. I don't need to worry about having any, I'm just going to use normal leaded solder on this one now. Let's zoom in, because I'm only using the soldering iron, so it's only going to be very localized heat on here. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit of flux, and I'm just going to put it on one side. Well, actually, the flux can go on both sides. I'm just going to put solder on one side. Then hopefully the capacitor will lie flat. Right, now I can do this side. Let's plug it back into the charger. I don't think that's going to have made any difference at all. And I think we need to start putting some voltage into the cells to see whether that kick-starts anything. I mean, we've definitely found a fault on here. It's just that if that's shorted, did it take out other stuff as well? Not sure. I don't think this will have made any difference at all. No. So maybe if it recognises that there's no power there whatsoever, it just thinks it's a broken battery. Well, I'm going to get my bench power supply set up. Well, hopefully you can see that now. So what are we doing here? This one here. So that's the negative and positive. So you can see it's gone straight to a constant current, but the voltage is definitely climbing. I still feel safe right now because I know the cells are going to be able to have about 4.2 volts or something, so I don't believe I'm going to be overcharging that one cell down there. Really, this here is an ideal revisit video because there's going to be so many questions, like how do I balance charge this when it's spot welded on? What's a good guess about the capacitor? Have I put in something which has just got not enough capacitance in it? 100 nanofarad? The voltage is nearly at the max now. I wonder would it kick over to constant voltage when it gets to 2 volts? Would it just stay at that? It's still climbing. What voltage did I have it set for? Oh, 205. Still constant current. Ah, but look now. There you go. Now we're constant voltage. And the amps have died down. Ah. Okay. Let's see now what's happening here. .96. Maybe I wasn't going on them enough before. Maybe I wasn't stabbing them hard enough. But yet there's nothing on these ones. So does that mean the first bank has taken something? I think it does, doesn't it? So now we can go on to the second bank, can we not? Because look, there's definitely nothing on that second bank. I'm pressing hard. But on the first bank here, we now have nearly 2 volts across the board. Brilliant. Okay, well, I'm going to try to get the next bank up to 2 volts. Right, it's been probably about 45 minutes later and I'm not really getting anywhere. I mean, I've got it up to 2.6, but that's all coming from this bank here. So if I go between here and here, you can see the 2.5. There's nothing happening onwards. Now, I was getting confused about where to put it, because it's kind of parallel but also then in series, so I wasn't sure where to charge it. But luckily there's a video here that shows that. It's by William Bailey and it says Milwaukee battery not charging, and basically he goes across it just to show where where to measure, because that was confusing me. He did say I think it took him 2 days to get them balanced, and I think he was doing it at 2 amps, so maybe I'm doing it at not enough. The problem is, I've watched a couple of other videos as well, and everybody seems to be starting at something around 3 volts on the batteries. These batteries are empty. I don't think, I already know that it's unsafe to charge batteries when they've been, lithium batteries, when they've been depleted below a certain level. And there's no arguing here, there's no voltage in. There's no voltage in this side over here. So, it's not going to be safe, is it? Even if I can get some charge into them, it's not going to be safe. And I don't even think I can get charge into them because they're so depleted. So what I think's happened is, I think this capacitor has a short on. We know it's got a short on. I've shown you the short earlier. So I think over the past months, because I've had this at least, I think, 2 months, I don't know how long Robert had it before. Obviously it was sent away under warranty. All that takes time. So I think that over the past few months, the short there maybe has just been draining the batteries completely, because normally with lithium, if you have a power bank and it's 50% charge and you go back to it months later, there will still be charge in that. But there's been something drawing on it the whole time. So I think it's completely drained now. That's what I think anyway, because it was a fault. It'd be different if you had like a charger on a power bank, because the power bank itself won't let it go below that low level. But we've had a short on the board here, and I think that's been draining it. So yeah, that's it. But anyway, if you have a look here, so yeah, you start off here, positive to here, which I knew, but I was getting confused after that. It's so annoying because you really have to go down hard on here because they've got a coating on. So you can see there, 2.5 volts. But now look, if I swap the leads and do positive here and negative here, you can see that we have nothing. Yeah, 0.02 off a volt. And then we swap again from here to here. Again, nothing, 0.01. Swap again, I think it was from here to here. Nothing. And lastly, from here to here. Nothing. Yep. So yeah, so if I'm going there to there, then I can put my, what am I on here at the moment? So 2.5 volts, and I've gone up to 500, oh no, I've gone up to 1 amp. I was at 500 milliamps. So if I was to go, for example, here without shorting on anything else, there, and if I was to go here, like so, and turn it on, you can see we go right the way up to 1 amp. But when I did this on the other cells, it then starts to drop. And I don't know whether I was dreaming, but earlier on sometimes it would do the constant current, and then it would go to constant voltage with 0 amps. But I mean, that's definitely doing something now. See, maybe not all the cells are faulty, maybe just some of them are. Anyway, let's leave it there for a while. Let's give a shout out to the My Mate Vince Massive. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go on to, so we were red, black, red, black, red, black. Should we try these ones here? Should we try this here? Let's see what that does, because that one there looked quite promising. Right, that is right, isn't it? Red, black, red, black, red, black. Right, let's see what that one does. See now, look, why is that not doing anything there? Is it because I've got a bad contact here? Yes, must be a bad contact. Okay, that's really going for it. Right, My Mate Vince Massive, kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Ellensburg Amplifier Repair and Service, Will Michaelis, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeebs.com, King Kurd from Lowbook Auto Sales, DJVG, Tobias Hennig, and Robert from Timsey Auto Air, the one who owns the battery. So massive thanks, guys, for that. And the continued support on Patreon, and everybody that supports these videos. Now this is looking definitely more promising. Well, okay, well, leave it with me. You can see what I'm going to do. I sort of know which way to charge it now, at least. So I'll keep doing this, and I think I'll do it at this. I know we've gone quite high on the amps, but I can't feel anything getting warm at all anywhere. Still no lights up on the charge as you would expect. Let's see now whether or not the volts are climbing or dropping on here. Nah, see, why is that dropping? That's really confusing me. If we've got voltage going into the battery pack, which we have, I don't understand why it's dropping there. Well, I'll get back to it later on after I've given it another few hours. Right, I've given up with the charging. Yes, I know originally it had whatever it was, 0.6, and now we have actually got 3 volts on it, 3.2, but it hasn't actually gone up since hours ago. But it is stable now at 3.2, but that's still a long way off 20 volts. You know, this is 18 volts, but fully charged, this is going to be up on 20 or a bit more. What I didn't check is whether or not any of the cells themselves have shorted, because maybe that's why my bench power supply, it just doesn't seem to be acting right. Sometimes when I go on it, I think, oh, this is great because it starts off at high current, and then bit by bit the voltage will climb. But then I go on other ones, and the voltage will climb for a minute or two, and then it will just drop and drop and drop and drop, which is wrong. The voltage should be climbing and climbing and climbing, and the current should be dropping and dropping and dropping until it gets to a stage where the voltage is up to the maximum of that cell, and then the current will drop off. So it just doesn't seem to be doing what I think it should be doing. So let's see whether or not we actually have any shorts. Right, so we've got a short there. I wonder if we've got shorts over here. Ah, no we haven't. Okay, maybe this might be the problem. Maybe there's a cell that's shorted. That's knocking it out. I didn't think to check that earlier. Right, so we have a short there. So does that mean all of this is going to be shorted? Now, how do I find out which one is shorted, or is it just the way it's been wired up? Ah, oh yes it is. So all of these are going to be shorted now, aren't they? And that's the, now hold on. That's the reason probably why they're all measuring no voltage. Yeah, okay, I don't need to go across every one. Yeah, they're all shorted. Now, is that coming from the cells, or is that coming from something on the board here? How do I disconnect this board? Got some solder joints here, here, and here. Maybe if I undo all them, I can prise this up. And then that will tell us whether it's the board that's putting a short on, or whether it's the cells. So this is where destruction mode takes over. So I undo the solder contacts on the board, and that does allow me to prise the board up a little bit. The end contacts are still welded on, but the middle contacts are now loose. So that means now the board is disconnected from certain banks of batteries, which is good. Annoyingly though, the shorts are still on the batteries. So to me, it looks like the fault is with the batteries rather than the board, because up until that point, maybe the board could have shorted, which is then going to throw a short everywhere. But by disconnecting the board, we've now proved that the short is on the batteries. So these batteries are spot welded on, so there's no easy way to actually dismantle them, to check them out, apart from doing something very destructive and also very final as well, because this will not be going back together. But I kind of knew at the beginning it wasn't going to be fixable because the cells are so low. So what you're witnessing now through this fast forwarded bit is me basically prying off every single spot welded bit of metal onto the batteries, so I can take all the cells out, and so we can test them each to see which ones are the faulty cells. I punched into Google the information here, the INR217040T, and yeah, lots of information out there. I've just pulled this one up here. Capacity 4000 milliamp hours, rated voltage 3.6 to 3.7 volts, charging termination voltage 4.2, max discharge 35 amps, do not discharge deeper than 3.5 volts. Well, we know that these are 0. Yeah, so, and it's without protection circuit, because some of them have built-in circuitry, don't they, in the top of them, but these ones haven't. So, yeah, I mean, really, these are scrap, aren't they? Well, you know, they need to be recycled. But I just want to play around with them for a bit, just to see if we can get any of them livened up. Right, I have been a busy bee. So, these batteries here. The reason I'm having problems here is because out of all these cells, there's 15 cells here. Out of all of them, there's only actually 3 which are behaving themselves, and they're the 3 that were left in here that were measuring the 3.2 volts or whatever it was. And funnily enough, at the very beginning, when I did my testing, this bank here were the ones measuring 0.6 volts. Everything else was measuring 0 volts. Now, as far as I can see, all of them have a short on, apart from the 3 that are behaving themselves, and that's the reason they're not charging properly. So right now I've pulled out one of the good ones. I've got it here, I've got it on my bench power supply, and it's going up exactly as you would expect it to. So if I was to go here and here, I can see that at this moment in time it's 3.4 volts. Now just watch it for a little bit. That will go up. I know it was 58 a second ago. Obviously when it's jumping up, sometimes it jumps down a little bit, but give that another couple of minutes and that will go to 58, and then another couple of minutes after that it will go to 3.459. So let me just fast forward through this part of the video. I've got my bench power supply on here at the moment. There you go, 59, yeah? So that's behaving itself. This one and this one will also behave itself. Whether they're going to work long term or not, don't know, because remember, it's dropped right the way down to 0.6 volts. But maybe get lucky with them, or possibly after 3 or 4 recharges, maybe they might go on fire because they've gone below their safe level. But check this out. If I was to go to just ohms, if I go on to the negative side here and the positive side here, and this is the same as when I take the battery out on this one here, so it doesn't make a difference that they're joined here. If I go here and here, you can see that it doesn't give me a reading, and I'm stabbing down on that battery pretty hard. There's no reading there whatsoever. If I swap the leads and do it this way, then it does give me a reading. It gives me a reading of zeros. Yeah, but this way you can see that this one and the one below does not give me any reading at all. And remember, these are the ones that are behaving themselves. Yeah, I'm on the one below now. Yeah, but now watch. If I go on to any of the 40 ones, if I go the wrong way, it will give me that 0 reading. There you go. And if I go the correct way, every one of these have shorted. So I'll be getting something between 2 ohms and I think like, I don't know what the maximum was. Yeah, that one's doing pretty good actually. Some of them are like 2 ohms or 3 ohms. 6 ohms. There you go, see that's down at 2 ohms. Yeah, so that's not right, is it? So the chemical makeup on the inside of these have obviously shorted. It's formed bonds or whatever, and it's shorting across. And that's the reason, no matter what I did, because I spent half a day yesterday trying to charge these up, I'm not going to be able to charge them up because they're shorted internally. So some people say you can put them in the freezer and that can work. Other people say you can give them a whack and that can break down the inside. But they're gone, aren't they? They're gone. Maybe I might be able to revive them a bit, but they're never going to be safe and they're never going to work well. So what I've done is I've ordered up 15 new ones. 15, that's how many is in this one here. I've got it from a place called Fogstar in the UK. Apparently they have very good reviews. Price was roughly £8 or £9 per battery, but then I got a discount code to knock 20% off. I think in total I paid about £115 or £117, including the postage, and hopefully they will arrive tomorrow. So what I'm going to try to do is, I'm thinking long term it probably would be useful to have some of these in the house anyway, because other products I come across in the future I presume will be going over to these bigger type of batteries. I think these are more for rechargeable cars and also e-bikes and stuff like that. So there we have it. I will see you in a couple of days when I've got the new batteries. Well, it's the next morning now, and fair play to Fogstar, everything arrived, which is really, really good. Right, let's see what we're doing as far as voltage is concerned. Because really I want these to be all the same going into here, otherwise the drill's going to have a problem again. They have to be balanced, don't they? Right, 3.4. 3.45, yeah, so they're exactly the same. Well, let's just open up some more. I might be lucky here if they're all the same. 3.45, so they're exactly the same. So that's great. So hopefully the rest are as well. So I need to now put them all back in and try to bodge this up, try to bend it all back into place and stuff. And then I've got a big tip on the soldering iron. I need to just apply a little bit of heat now. Obviously it's very dangerous, you shouldn't be applying heat to these, that's why they're spot welded in the first place. But what I'm hoping is, if I'm just quick on each of them, then I'm thinking hopefully I will get away with it. Now interestingly enough, these three I fully charged up yesterday, and look, last night they were still holding their charge. So this is all the negative sides. Watch this, I've got them all the way up to 4 volts. There you go, 4 volts and holding, you see, look at that. So although these ones here were massively discharged, they look to be behaving themselves right now. There we go, and you can see not dropping. Yeah, so really strange how these three are fine and yet everything else is gone. It's kind of weird. I wonder in another few weeks would these have completely discharged as well. Bit of a shame. What I'm doing is I'm just straightening these up using the pliers, because obviously when I took them off the spot weld they got all bent. And now I'm bending them in. So eventually when we do get the battery in, so these ones here are going to be on the positive. So So when we do get the battery in, it will give me an opportunity now to solder that onto there. But even without the solder, they're still going to be making a little bit of contact just purely from the pressure of the fact that they're folded in. It's going to take a long time. Now I'll just show you this bit just in case it explodes. I'll get it on camera. Now, what I'm going to do is, this stuff here has coating on the back, this kind of like plastic coating. So it's going to be a bit annoying to solder through that. So, and also I don't want to apply too much heat to it, because obviously what I'm doing now is very, very dangerous. Do not copy what you see in this video. These are spot welded for a reason. I don't want the soldering iron to travel or the heat to travel all the way through, because they could burst into flames. Saying that, I've got a very big tip on my iron. I'm at 480 degrees Celsius. I'm only holding on there for a few seconds. That's why I'm doing this. I wouldn't do this if I did believe that it was going to explode in my face, but it could happen. So I'm going to be putting a blob of solder on each of these, and then I'm going to be putting a blob of solder underneath each of these. Then hopefully when I heat it up from here, the solder's already in place, it can just marry up. Now just to show you what I'm doing, so I've got my tip here, and applying it now and flooding it with solder really, really quickly. Flooding it with solder, there we go. Yeah, so you can see now I'm not holding it on there for a ridiculous amount of time. So I just need to do that across all of them. It's going to be harder on these ones. There you go. Right, you get the idea. Now we're going to be applying the solder underneath here. This one should be easier because I'm thinking this side here has no coating on it. Yes, that's flown on there. Lovely. Alright, here goes. Slightly nervous. So let's get it all in the right position. There. There. Right, okay. Let's start with this one here. Right, hopefully I can force that down here. Right, let's go. Now, hopefully this won't need a huge amount of heat. Now, I wonder would that have done, or is that just not enough heat? They're on. Right, so that's what I'm going to be doing on each of them. Let's just try the positive one over here. And down. Okay, well it's not hot. I think that's going to be okay. It's definitely going to be okay for testing anyway, and you know, for what if it works for what I'm going to use it for. Okay, so they are all soldered up now. Yes, I know it looks a mess. It doesn't help with all this coating on here. It makes it look even messier. So now what I need to do is I need to solder on all these little points that stick up from here back onto the board. Then I think we can press the button and see if we have anything. Just need to push them through to begin with. Right, okay. I think we're done. If it works, I can put a hot glue gun all on these bits here just to give them a little bit of extra strength. Here goes. Oh no, there's no lights. Right, let's see, maybe my soldering's not good enough. Oh, I was expecting to see lights. Let's see what we got here now. Give me something. Yes, 17.2. Why hasn't it given me lights? Is the board still faulty? Should we see if we got balance? 3.42. 1 second, sorry. 3.45. 3.45. 3.45. 3.45. 3.45. So I think the cells themselves are balanced. Right, let's see what happens when we plug it into the charger. Maybe it needs to be reset or something by going into the charger. I've got a feeling we're going to have the same lights. Let's see. Ah, come on. You know what I'm thinking now? I should have paid the extra and got a working one. And then I could have used the batteries from that, and then I could have fault-finded the board. As it is now, I've spent like £115 or something on batteries, when if I'd put another £45 towards it, I would have got a working battery. Because I have seen them for sale for 160. It's weird, when I first of all got this and I looked up, I'm sure the prices were 260 across the board. But then when I was editing, I looked back and they're not. You can get them for 160. Alright, well, leave it with me. 17 volts isn't too low, is it? So there's obviously a problem with the board. What a shame, I've put so much work into this. It's still not doing anything. Ah, gutted, really am gutted. Right, I've got my bench power supply on it again. I've got it set to 19 volts at just 1 amp. And I'm just going to leave it on there for a while. Okay, it's been charging up for about 15 minutes now. It's 17.6 volts here. I've upped it to 2 amps. I can feel a slight bit of warmth in here now. So I really want to keep an eye on this. It would be a lot safer to do it at lower amps. It's just that on the lower amps it was going up so slow. Even now you can see that it's going to be a long time before we get to 18 or more volts. Anyway, it does appear to be charging balanced. So I've just gone across the extremes here. So, you know, from that side of the battery pack all the way to that side. But look here now, if I get my meter and if I go across here, you can see that it's all charging the same amount. So we're 3.53. 3.53. I can't be bothered to swap the leads around. It's the same whether it's negative or positive. 3.53. 3.53 and 3.53. So you can see that it does seem to be charging in a balanced way, which is nice. It's not one cell that stays. It's not like this bank of cells which has taken everything. It seems to be spread out across the whole thing. So now, I know it's a failure video, but this is what I'm thinking. On the 2 outer ones here, we have 17.7 volts now. Yeah, so hopefully I'll get it up to 18. In which case then, do you think I can put it back together? Yes, this light here won't be working. Yes, I won't be able to charge it unless I charge it with my bench power supply like this. But do you think that my little work light would work? Or do you think that there's a chip in here which communicates with here and will only provide the power when the chips communicate and agree? Which would be annoying. If this is just looking for 18 volts, then I think this battery will work, because look, the board itself is faulty, but the cells are good, aren't they? Because they're brand new. So in theory, if I charge this up to like 19 volts or something, then this would probably last for years, the amount I'm going to use this. It will probably last for years, in which case then it's still got a purpose. Yes, it will be the most expensive torch / flashlight in the world, but I don't care. I will take that success, because the amount of time I've put into this, I will take any little bit of positivity that I can out of it. But yeah, actually, do you know what? It's climbing at a good rate now. I probably could lower down the amps. But no, I think I'll leave it. And if it starts getting warmer, then I'll lower down the amps. But I'm happy with the temperature at the moment. It's not even like lukewarm. It's just not cold. It's a bit warmer than room temperature. Okay, so yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Right, it's still charging, but beforehand I was going straight onto the battery contacts here, and I'm thinking if I'm going to be using this myself, then it's going to be annoying to have to keep taking it apart. But look, I can charge it via the actual contacts here. So obviously it'd only be safe to do this with a bench power supply. But if you have a look now, you can see there that it is charging via there. You can see it's drawing 2 amps via the actual outer 2 contacts. Now I believe when it comes to the actual charger here, it's not using the outer 2 contacts. I can see a middle one in here. It says, if I look closely on the board, this one says battery positive, this one says battery negative, the middle one says charge. So obviously it must be charging on this one and this one. When I put my red lead to here, it just goes to constant voltage. It's not drawing any current. So obviously I can't charge it here, but I can charge it here, and it is charging, because if I get my multimeter here, and if I go scrape between here and here to make a contact, you can see there 17.902. Now it's gone to 3, in a minute 4, in another 30 seconds or so it will go to 5. So you can see it is actually moving up there. So if this does work with the work lamp, and I can't see why it wouldn't, surely they're not going to put like a battery monitor system in a work light, then I think that this will be perfectly functionable for what I need. So what I've done is I've put a load of glue gun in the bits here. So I just used my hot glue stick with the hot air, and I just melted it all into there. So yeah, it still fits in here nicely. So I am actually feeling upbeat now. I know that's pure desperation, but I am feeling upbeat that I think this is going to work. So I'm going to charge it up to probably about 19.5 volts, and then we'll see what happens with it. Okay, it's half the day later again, and I charged this all the way up to 19 point something volts, and it's holding. If you have a look here now, you will see that once it settles down, it will stay at a particular reading and stay there. So obviously the new cells in there are working fine. They must be all soldered correctly, I think, because it seems to be correct. There you go, so it's holding there. So as far as the battery side of things is concerned, the cells and stuff are going to be working just fine. The problem is we can't do anything with the board. For example, if I press this button, nothing lights up here. I can't charge it, just like you've seen earlier, because we haven't got the board doing anything. The board's doing nothing. So, well, I presume that side of it's not going to be working. So in theory, we could keep using it until we drop it below the safe level again. So that's why it's not going to be safe to use. But for something like this work light here, it is, ta-da, working, which obviously it's going to work, isn't it? Because it's got 19 volts coming out of it here. I was just a bit concerned, thinking there might be circuitry in here that needs to talk to the battery, but it's not. It's just obviously looking for the 18 volts, and it will keep working. So I think that this will last for absolutely ages for someone like myself. Look at this, it's even got a little thing here so you can hang it off. So I think that's going to be quite useful. Obviously it's complete overkill to have such a powerful battery on something like this, but at least it's got its use. Yeah, that is it for this video. Massive thanks to Robert for sending it out to me. Apologies that I couldn't give you a proper answer. In my opinion, I don't think it's bug damage, but like I said earlier, you put it down in the comments what you think caused it. I think the capacitor just went faulty, because sometimes that's what they do. But yeah, there we go. So that is it. If you did get any enjoyment from it at all, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you very soon for another Trying to Fix video. Take care, everyone.